All right, so we're here with John Lucero of Sporting KC today. John, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do for Sporting KC in your role there with operations?
Yes, of course. Yep. So my name is John Lucero, like you mentioned. I do work for Sporting KC. It actually a branch of Sporting KC called Sporting Fields and Athletics. Just a little bit of background. I graduated from Pitt State last December and have currently started my master's program in sports management at KU. So I started out as an intern and I'm currently a full-time operations coordinator with Sporting KC. So I basically am just one of our full-time guys here. We have within SFA, we have 2 facility managers, 4 operations coordinators, and I'm one of those operations coordinators that is right underneath the facility managers. So that's a little bit of background about me and my title.
Excellent. You're a graduate of the HHPR department from Pitt State. Is that true?
Yes.
Excellent. Yes. Excellent. Cool. So we'll come back to that a little bit later because I got some questions I want to ask you to wrap up at the end as it pertains to that. But tell us a little bit about Sporting Fields and how it's integrated with Sporting KC.
Okay. So Sporting Fields and Athletics is considered satellite operations. So satellite meaning basically we're not directly with the first team, the MLS team. They would be considered stadium. Anything that they do is like stadium operations, stadium marketing, stadium, coordinating or whatever it might be. So we actually control 3 satellite facilities that are focused on youth sports. So one of our facilities, Swope Soccer Village, is focused on growing Sporting KC from kids from a young age. And then the other 2 are focused on just any kid around Kansas City. Hey, how can we give you a better sports experience? And basically, rent out these facilities so that we can provide that to them. So
excellent. So what are the type of entities that you rent out those fields to? Are they local youth soccer leagues, camps, that kind of thing?
So pretty much, so they're considered private fields. We choose who we want to rent these out to.
Gotcha.
We try to reach out to large youth sport organizations. So for example, here at my new facility that was just opened in September that we're sitting in currently, we chose to partner with Perfect Game for baseball.
Okay.
We partner with our own affiliate, Sporting Rec League for soccer, Sporting Development League for soccer. We also partner with NFL Flag Football. And then at another
the Play 60 initiative?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Very cool.
And then so then you look at like our other facility, Compass. We partner with, that is one where we partner with Wyco. It is in Wyandotte County. So we partner with Wyco adult soccer leagues. We partner with Heartland, which is a very large youth soccer league. And then at Swope, it's the same thing. It's Brookside, which is another big soccer league that isn't just Kansas City. It's everywhere. And then along with Heartland, and then any of our academy affiliates. So we have Sporting KC teams spread out through 8 different states. And sometimes they use our facilities whenever we have like tournaments and stuff like that. And then we also obviously have local teams also.
Gotcha. Very cool. So as an operations coordinator within Sporting Fields, what exactly are your day-to-day roles?
Okay, so I would say our day-to-day tasks are broken into probably 4 different categories. And a lot of different tasks in these 4 different categories.
Yeah.
I would say event setup would be the biggest thing.
Okay.
So, if it's like a weekday, we obviously, kids are in school. We don't have games normally.
Mhm.
We have college games sometimes, so I
Right.
can't say always, but, and we might just have to set up for like a soccer practice, like Sporting Rec League here, at our North facility. We have to set up for soccer practice every day.
Mhm.
We might have to set up like tents, give people golf carts, move stuff like that, whatever it takes to set up an event.
Gotcha.
On the weekends, it's a little more strenuous. We had softball here this past weekend. We had to set up 4 softball fields. So we convert soccer fields into softball fields. So
Wow.
you
Yeah.
can kind of think about what it takes to do that. We have to have in-ground bases. We also have to cover those up when people are playing soccer.
Yep.
We have to get mounds out. We have to get temporary fence out.
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll have to unroll that plastic fencing.
Yep. So, a lot of event setup stuff would be the main focus. That's probably what all that people see us for. Um, Outside of that, cleaning and maintaining a facility
Yeah.
is probably the thing that people don't see us for. Just continuing to make sure the facility looks brand new and it looks like basically nobody's run through there.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes to do that. Building and organizing, I would say that's more of off-season tasks, but as I've said, this is a new facility that I'm in right now. So we are currently building goals. So, I mean, we have so many soccer goals here. We build benches, we build picnic tables, we build shelves so that we can organize stuff. We actually, for our interns, we actually have them do, I know at Pitt State, we have do special projects within our internship. So like, I remember one of my special project was like organizing one of our sheds basically and
Yeah.
creating a system to where, hey, this is how this needs to be done. And then this is how we clean it out. And like, we have an intern right now working on the lost and found system, for
Yeah.
example.
But
So,
developing those policies and procedures and
mhm,
ways to go about doing things so that it makes everyone's life easier for future use.
yes.
Gotcha.
And then the biggest thing that I would say that is important to bring to this job is you need to have great communication because
Mhm.
one of our major tasks is being that point of contact. So because we are people that are in charge of the building, because we are the people that show up first and leave last, we have to be the point of contact whenever uh, our vice president of youth business sport development shows up to our facility at all the times. So you have to be that point of contact. Hey, Dan's coming. You need to make sure that our conference room is ready or he has what he needs in order to do what he needs to do. Or hey, like our someone from the marketing department's coming. They need to do a tour with one of our sponsors. You need to make sure that, hey, the facility is ready for that. Do they
Right.
have everything that they need? Are these doors need to be open? So being a point of contact is also a huge task with what we do day to day.
Excellent. Excellent. So to that point, um, you mentioned the numerous partners. Can you give us some examples of some of your I guess day-to-day relationships with those partners, what that looks like?
Mhm.
You mentioned some of the field setup and things like that. What else might those partnerships look like from your perspective?
Okay. So the people that we would work with, I would say specifically would
Mhm.
be, I mentioned academy affiliates. So
Yeah.
we have an actual academy team. So Sporting KC has obviously our MLS team,
Right.
and that'll actually go all the way down to a U12 team.
Okay.
So the idea is to grow them all the way up. And that happens at Swope Soccer Village. So we can deal with those coaches and whatever that may entail. So like coaches might be like, hey, we need lights on. Hey, this field needs to be set up for this scrimmage.
Yeah.
With those teams come we have directors of those teams. we have coordinators, we have scouts, we have administrators, we have athletic trainers, we have cleaning crews.
Mhm.
So you basically would run into mostly probably coaches here. That's what it would mostly look like. And
Right.
we deal with a lot of coaches and a lot of like team administrators and stuff like that, who basically you just got to figure out, hey, what do we need to get what you're here for?
Yeah.
So usually practice. So yeah.
So aiding in that facilitation of whatever it is they have going on, whatever event, whatever practice, so on and so forth. Good.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, we're knocking things out here. What, you've been there for what? When did you graduate?
So I graduated in December of 2021 and I
Okay.
started my internship in August of 2021.
Okay. Awesome. So you're fairly new to the position. What are some of the biggest things that you've learned thus far working with Sporting KC and the sporting fields?
And that's so tough to put into words, honestly. I would say that I've learned a lot about myself and what my goals are. When I was first coming out of Pitt State, I imagine a lot of people can agree with this sentiment. I really didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I knew that I loved sports, and I
Yes.
knew that I wanted to be within sports,
Yep.
But I would say I learned a lot about myself in that I can use my qualities that I find as my strengths in anything that I do, because I don't think anybody has the goals of being immediately going into facility operations. Like I've never heard somebody say that before.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation though, because I think your story rings true with a lot of our majors currently. It's,
Right.
they want to be in sport, they love sport, but they're not sure where to start, where to go, what to consider. So that being said, now that you're sometime into it, what are the things that make you believe that you are fit for this role within operations?
I would say one of my biggest strengths was, being the ability to lead, and finding out like, hey, what needs to get done, like the routine of things, and basically, I would say the bosses that I have really instilled a lot of confidence in me, because to have this job, you need to be very self-motivated and self-reliant and reliable to these people, because you'll be left on an island for a little bit and they'll be like, hey, let's see what you do.
Yeah.
Uh, I found that confidence very early whenever I was given the chances to take on projects and stuff like that. So I would say I just learned that, hey, I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself at first because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But now I figured, hey, this is very attainable. This is very achievable. You just kind of got to get into the motion of things, kind of got to learn, the procedures and the year-round tasks and how everything goes and the long-term outlook of everything. And once I learned that, I gained a lot of confidence. I gained the ability to show my strengths, and then I'm hoping to use that to continue to further my career. Honestly, I'm not sure what my long-term goals are right now. All I know is that I'm happy here within sporting, and I'm going to continue to grow within sporting. So that's where
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like you're, operations is such an interesting component of professional sport and collegiate sport and parks and rec and campus rec too, because it's integral. You really get exposed to every single piece of the organization, whether you realize it or not, right? Like you mentioned, you had the marketing team coming in and giving a sponsor a tour, right? Like you're seeing that marketing piece and what that looks like. You're seeing the maintenance that's required. You're understanding how coaches run their practices too, and understanding that leadership component, observing that leadership component, the different personalities that you have to communicate with on a daily basis, I'm sure are vast.
Yes. Yeah, I would say
Big
that's
difference
one.
between a marketer and a head coach. So,
Right. I would
So
say that's one of
that's
the most
interesting.
exciting parts about this job
Yeah.
is you can look at the list of people that we've had as interns and you can see, hey, maybe they're not still with our ops department, but they're with our marketing
Yeah.
department. They're
Yeah.
with our sales department or ticket sales, or they're with our concessions, or they're now a coach, or they're in our youth business department, or hey, they took a job, over there at an NBA team, or
Mhm.
something like that. Basically, I really believe that like this right here is a great training point for your future in sports, because you get to see a peak of every aspect of Sporting KC being in operations department.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So one thing I want to go back to real quick, and then I'll wrap it up with a couple other questions. But you mentioned developing that sense of confidence, right? You had bosses, you had supervisors that encouraged you to kind of prove your worth, prove your mettle a little bit, right? So what are things that you think students can do now while they're still in undergrad, still trying to get all these experiences, aside from an internship with Sporting KC, which we'll talk about here in a second? But what are some things that you think students can do, or that you wish you had done along the way, that would help you with some of those things that maybe you might have struggled with a little bit whenever you first started? Um, what are your thoughts on that?
I would say I would encourage regardless of where you're at right now, I would encourage you to go and get experience in any sort of sport that you can, whether it's some in Pittsburgh, some youth, football team, or, being an assistant coach for like the Pittsburgh high school or
Mhm.
whatever. My senior year, my regret was I didn't have a lot of experience within sports. I just kind of worked regular jobs to get through school at
Yeah.
first. And I realized my senior year, I was like, I need something,
Yep.
because I'm trying to get to a certain route. So I volunteered for the women's basketball team there. I worked for
Mhm.
them, and then I worked for the football team also.
Excellent.
So I would encourage you guys to just, hey, even if you're not getting paid, or you're getting paid minimum wage,
Yeah.
or just go out there, get that experience, because then you're really going to kind of start to divvy it down to what you want to do. And you
Yeah.
might be like, okay, well, here's this avenue, here's this avenue, here's this avenue. I kind of like this a little bit more than this. But once I started doing kind of operations stuff for the football team, that's when I was like, okay, well, my end goal might be, I kind of feeling like I want to be an athletic director or something like that. So
Yep.
my end to that would be, okay, I'm going to learn more about facilities and managing facilities and operations. And that's kind of
Absolutely.
how I ended up where I was.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense too when you consider everything that athletic directors have to be responsible for, and understanding the facilities, and understanding, the just the day-to-day, the flow of everything on the operations side of things is really, really beneficial for an athletics director. For a lot of reasons, but just having a better overall understanding of the physical operations of an organization is incredibly valuable
Mhm.
for anyone in a leadership position. But good. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, and we have many students that are looking into that path, whether it be athletic directors K through 12 or collegiate athletic directors at some level. So that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so what skills, you mentioned communication, right?
Of course. Yep.
What other skills do you think our students should be working on if they want to pursue a career in operations management?
I would say communication, absolutely number one. Okay.
What
That
forms
is
of
some,
communication now?
so for example, I told you how I kind of report to a facility manager.
Yeah,
Then above him is like the director of sporting or of satellite facilities. So
gotcha.
his name's Brady. He sends out emails daily. There's always emails. Okay, so responding emails and to emails every day quickly and like that, because there's going to be questions, or we're trying to get ready for this weekend. So you need to make sure that we get this done today so that everything happens in a timely manner. I would say email is huge with us. Phone calls, you always need to be ready for any phone call when you're on site, because there's a lot of fields here. There is a lot of square footage of facility that you need to take care of. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong, especially all at once. So you need to be ready for anybody to call you and be like, hey, this is going on. This is going on. Let's go solve the problem. And moving on to the next point, I would say with communication goes quickly reacting to being able to solve problems quickly.
Yeah.
I would say being on your feet is one of the most important things at this job, because there is a lot of small things that happen that can be quickly resolved, but like if you don't quickly resolve them, they can turn into bigger problems. For
Yeah.
example, our north facility, so it was just built. And we opened it in September, even though it's not fully built. So this weekend, we had a huge problem with people walking in our construction zones.
Oh,
So it
no.
was one of those things, if we didn't quickly react to that, we were gonna have 1,000 parents walking around rebar sticking out of the ground, concrete that wasn't poured.
Risk management, right? Potential
Yes,
lawsuit, big time. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So being able to react quickly and being able to have those problem solving skills, huge asset to us. Especially, we don't expect a lot of interns and part-timers to take on that. Obviously, that would be a lot of my job and my boss's job, but we would like to divvy some of that down to where, hey, maybe these small problems, like, hey, if you see, there's a bunch of trash laying out somewhere, hey, can you go get that for us? Or like, you see a coach like that needs help setting up a tent, hey, can you go do that for him? Little things like that
Absolutely.
is stuff that we look for. I would say along with that, being self-motivated. Okay, so do we have to tell you to do things, or can you look around and take context clues and be like, okay, this is my
Yeah.
responsibility?
Take some initiative, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so with the need to be self-motivated and being able to take a little bit of ownership over things, do you think that's something that you learned from your experience with football and women's basketball here, or is it something that you've always had, like it's a personality trait of yourself, or is it a little bit of both?
I would say a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and I know that going to Pitt State and talking to other students when I was there, having that confidence, that's the biggest thing. Is you'll show up to a place that you've never been and you don't know necessarily, social cues, or like, how to act, or like, what's okay and what's not. And then once you kind of figure that out and navigate, hey, we don't necessarily need to worry about those things. We at SFA have a real family environment. All these people that I work with, I feel like are my brothers, my sisters, everything. So we don't necessarily worry about any of that, but it's I would say it's something that kind of came out of me, the more confidence that I grew. With working with Pitt State football, they trusted me to do a lot of things. A lot of the guys I worked with aren't there anymore, but I would like film the games for them. I
Yep.
would help set up practice. I would help the coaches with drills, just little stuff like that. And then you realize, hey, I'm starting to become, someone they can rely on, someone uh, that actually is an asset. And that's when you kind of realize, hey, stuff kind of your bright spots start to come out.
Absolutely. And you start to realize that, you can be a real resource to people. You can be a real resource to those that you serve. And there's a saying about adopting as much responsibility as you think you can, right? And then adding a little bit more. And it sounds like you've taken it upon yourself in those cases to do just that, which is awesome. And I hope that all of our students do that. I think it's critically important. And it's one of the reasons that you're so satisfied with where you are now, and you see that path forward, right? Because you've been very intentional with your decisions. And like I said, that's something I really encourage all of our students to do. So that being said, Thank you for all of that, by the way.
Yes.
Tell us about your internships. Tell
Okay.
us what Pitt State students can look for, what opportunities are out there for Pitt State students. You're a product of the program, and you've been up
Yep.
there for a little while now, but sounds like Sporting KC is looking for some more. So give us your pitch.
Okay. So our internship program goes right along with Pitt State's internship program. The requirements, everything matches up perfectly. Okay. Because I know that at Pitt State we have summer internships, fall internships, and spring internships, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
opportunities. We're pretty flexible with students on whenever they want to do their internship. Most of them do in the summer just for convenience sake, but we're going to work with the students on whatever they need.
So here within our branch specifically, we at Sporting KC offer internships at almost every department, but in
Oh,
our department specifically, Sporting Fields and Athletics, we are looking for 10 students a semester. So we have right now we have all our interns for the spring. So we would be talking necessarily from the next summer moving forward. We have basically we need 10 interns to work between 3 different facilities. And basically, it has to be for college credit. And then we do like resume reviews. We do constant meetings with you guys.
awesome. Yeah.
Like see, what's your status, like how are you moving forward? Are we
Focusing on
looking?
that professional development piece.
Yes. And
Excellent.
that's a huge thing. And yeah, you get to work with our bosses basically and trying to build your professional resume, your profession as a whole, your whole professional profile.
Mm-hmm.
And we focus on that as an intern. We try to give you flexibility as an intern to basically, pick your own schedule, choose what you can and can't do. And we're very open to, those kind of things. All we really expect out of you is to really give a crap and to put forth some sort of effort and some sort of, open-mindedness to, hey, this is what we need to accomplish. This is how I can help these guys out on their day-to-day tasks. And with that comes, great references.
Yeah.
We go to bat for all of our people. I was trying to find this list before this, but we have a list on our posting that we do of where our interns were before they came in and where they are now. So
Excellent.
maybe there isn't a lot of people in our ops department that stayed. I can tell you right now, almost 100% of us were interns at one point, whether it's the
Wow.
part-timers, the full-timers. We were all interns at one point, but I know people that, I know someone that works for the New England Patriots now.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone that works for the Chiefs. I know people that moved to stadium operations, that moved to marketing, that moved to our first team training center, that moved to US soccer. So I would encourage you to be an intern for us for that professional development. And obviously, hopefully you can help us out along the way. But I think in terms of building that professional profile, you won't find much better than what you'll get here.
Excellent. Excellent. Good deal. All right. So if people want to learn more about those internship opportunities, where can they find that information?
So we post on Teamwork.
Okay. Teamwork.
So
Got it.
let me get these dates out for you because
Yeah.
this is what it looks like. Okay.
Okay.
So we our spring internship posting just ended today.
Okay.
Like literally today. So you cannot find any information on this next spring because we have filled those positions. But for the summer, our posts will open up either sometime in late February, early March.
Okay.
They will close by April. And then for the fall, it'll open in June, maybe late May, June, and then
Yep.
it'll close by the end of July.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And then and then the spring is September, and then it'll close by November.
Okay, excellent. So tight windows to get those applications in. What all might students need to have ready for those applications?
So going over that with my boss right before this, I was like, hey man, because what I help with is I just help with your like I might do an interview with you.
Yeah.
We have several interviews. We usually do at least two.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely we go over references too. So our boss kind of hands that down to me, like, hey, you do the first round of interviews and then you call the references and let me know. So what we look for, okay, so fill out your profile on Teamwork.
Okay.
Obviously, I want you to have an updated resume, but if your profile on Teamwork is completely filled out with a cover letter also,
Okay.
we will 100% consider you.
Okay.
But we go to all these applicants and cannot find any information on them through Teamwork, and
Yeah.
it's frustrating. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you have a reference here, but like, how do we learn more about you? You know,
Gotcha.
before we can
Gotcha.
choose
So you're
you.
using that one platform as basically a mechanism by which you're kind of filtering through these applicants just based on the thoroughness of how their profile is filled out.
Yep. So like we can look at your, social media, your LinkedIn, through all that, and that it just kind of helps us out. But we do get quite a few applicants. I would say depending like this for the spring,
Mm-hmm.
probably 120.
Wow. 120 for 10 spots. That's competitive. That's awesome.
Yep. For the fall is our most competitive. Could have, hundreds.
What are you looking for on those applications then? What distinguishes the 10 that get it versus the rest that don't?
I would say just the showcasing of, your professional profile, your professionalism. We obviously want you to have a lot of experience in sports. And if you have experience within event management, event operations, facility management, any sort of operations.
Yeah, well,
industry,
even students in the hospitality field too.
yes,
A lot of this, and I tell my students all the time, it's like rec and sport is just hospitality plus rec and sport.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is a lot of my job is like I told you,
Yeah,
our vice
event setup.
president
Yeah,
shows up.
absolutely.
Our vice president shows up and it's like, okay, hey, how can I help you? What do you
Yep.
need? I got to make sure the lobby's clean and like everything looks fine. So
Yep.
absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. Good deal. All righty. Well, if anybody wants to contact you and learn more information about what you do specifically, where can they reach you?
I'll give you my email. Um, email, phone number, either one would work.
Okay.
I'd always be willing to set up a meeting like me and you are doing right now, just to kind of go over basically, hey, this is what's going to help you to
Yeah.
get this internship. I actually had somebody, it's really cool. I actually had somebody do that for me. Dr. Hardy, you know him?
Yeah.
So he had a previous student when he was at Missouri Western who I currently work with to this day. It's actually really
Awesome.
cool. His name's Alec, and he put me in contact with him, sent him an email, set up a phone call. Me and Alec talked for maybe 30 minutes. He let me know what I needed to do, and here I am.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're glad to hear it. We're glad to hear that your education that you got here with HHPR is paying off for you. And we're glad to see you so happy and so successful with Sporting KC. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. And I'll be sure to post your contact information in the video description. That way, if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can do so that way. Thank you so much, John. Take care.
I appreciate you, Shelby.